What's up, my friends? Can we talk about material shortages for a minute? So, probably all of you are experiencing the same thing that I'm experiencing. You can't get materials for anything, anywhere, and it's been months, it's been years at this point, if we're being honest. I remember when the pandemic started. I was wiring a commercial building, and I remember a guy that I was working with was like, yo, dude, there's this virus or something, and like it's all over the news. Like everybody's freaking out right now. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news. I get my news from TikTok. Probably bad, but it can't be any worse than, traditional media. Anyways, when that happened, we noticed that like all these factories started shutting down. And so it was hard to start, get a lot of materials, like PVC boxes were hard. We noticed that the price of copper started going up a lot. So like for a roll of 12-2, which I don't have sitting around here, 12-2, I think at the time was like $65 a roll. And it's gone up to $165 a roll. For a long time there, you couldn't get any 12-2. We couldn't get Romex. And then we had people in town that were like running into Home Depot and just grabbing rolls and fucking leaving. And then you'd have big companies too that would buy like 10 pallets of 12-2. They would just take all of it. And then, every Home Depot in the area was completely out of 12-2. So we couldn't wire houses. And so they started being like, all right, you have to limit, like one roll per customer so that we make sure that, the entire city is taken care of instead of just the entire one huge company is taken care of. Home Depots, after a while, started locking up all of their pallets of wire because they would have people literally just come and grab the stuff and take off running out the store. And employees of Home Depot and Lowe's and most places, they're like, you're not risking your life to go chase after these people. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. Just let them steal stuff. So people just kept stealing stuff. And so now you go into any Home Depot in the entire Austin area, and they have these steel rods that they've built, and they put all of the rolls of wire on those steel rods, and then they lock them up in some kind of cage thing. And so now for me to go buy any wire to just wire a house, I have to go and ask somebody to come and unlock wire, and they have to take it all off themselves, and they have to push the cart and get all of that up to the front of the store and walk me up to pay for the wire. So that's some stuff that's happened, that's changed. I remember the price of 14-2 and the price of 12-2 was astronomical. Still kind of is, really hasn't come down that much. We still see some supply shortages of 12-2. Depending on the supply house, it's not anywhere near as bad as it used to be, but they'll actually run out and they'll be like, it's going to be another week or two until we get another pallet, because there's like a stipend for how many pallets can be delivered at a certain time to certain suppliers and everything, and they're trying to just make sure that there's enough. So what really happened is when the pandemic started, all of the factories that were making all the materials shut down. So for the longest time, nobody was making this stuff. And then, as things got a little bit better, these factories would reopen. And there was such a high demand at the time that everybody was in a buying frenzy. And so the demand was so much higher than what was being supplied out there. And still to this day is that they can't keep up. And a lot of the workers that were working in these factories ended up going home, and a lot of them haven't come back. And so there's labor shortages on top of the actual factories themselves not being able to keep up with the demand. So it's everything, right? Like we hear about vehicles. I've been trying to buy a vehicle for I don't know how long now. There's no new vehicles anywhere. I just want to lease something. And I can't because there's no dealerships anywhere around that have new inventory. And you don't lease used vehicles. But the prices of used vehicles have gone through the roof too. Like, normally a truck that you would buy that's kind of like a shitty little $3,000 truck is like $15,000 right now. People are just asking astronomical prices because there's such a high demand and there's no supply. So this isn't just materials. I mean, it's happening with this isn't just electrical materials. It's happening in the automotive industry. It's happening with everything. So all that to say, the materials I've been noticing lately out, I'm doing a lot of buying, and every day I'm going out and buying for several jobs, and I'm just constantly in the supply houses and going to Home Depots and stuff. So I'm starting to see some patterns. I've noticed that, blue boxes are really hard to come by. A lot of 2 gangs are hard to find, and a lot of single gangs are hard to find. I've got a couple of supply houses that it's been week after week after week after week, and I keep going in to find single gang boxes, and they're like, bro, we don't have any. I'm like, well, I'm going to keep asking. Every time I come in, I'm just going to keep asking you because I need them. So I'll end up going to like Home Depot or Lowe's and trying to buy like a whole box of them, but a lot of them are out too, and they'll only have like 1 box, and so I'll have to buy that 1 box, and that'll have to last me, for a couple of jobs, and then I'll have to try to pull some from another place. So we're still seeing, at least where I'm at, we're still seeing shortages happening like that. On top of residential boxes like that, QO breakers for Schneider, so square D breakers are like almost impossible to find. A lot of different kinds of, so like single pole 20s are really difficult to find. And I think that's a nationwide thing. If you have 2 pole 20 GFCI breakers or 2 pole 20 AFCI breakers, which is like a shared neutral breaker. So if you have like a house that's wired in 12-3, black, red, and white. Well, there's only 1 neutral for both of those circuits, and each one of those circuits has to have a neutral that's separated. So they have this thing called a shared neutral breaker, which is it's essentially just a 2 pole 20. Looks like a GFI because it's got the little white pigtail, or if it's a plug-on neutral, it doesn't. But anyways, these breakers are like $100 a piece, and every remodel from the 70s, they all wired this way. They did 12-3 home runs to everything in the house. So not only are these breakers expensive, but they're extremely hard to find. So trying to find any of them, they can't give you any guarantee on when there's going to be any that arrive. So that kind of sucks because I can't even tell a customer like, hey, we're in the middle of this remodel. I got to get all these breakers, but I literally have no clue when they're going to come. I've told my supply houses, I've looked everywhere. I can't find them. I've called Schneider. There's just nothing we can do, and nobody's got an answer. So we're starting to run into stuff like that. The biggest problem that we've been running into here in Texas, and probably elsewhere too, is meters. So meter cans specifically are very, very hard. Millbank has been the biggest supplier of everything in our area, and they just can't keep up with the demand that there is. So we were smart enough a long time ago to buy a whole bunch of 200 amp meters. But here in the city of Austin, there's specific meters that you have to have, and they have a little stamp in them, and they're a design that's specified by the city of Austin, by Austin Energy, the power company for the city of Austin. But it has to have a little AE stamp on it. And we can't find any of these. They don't have enough. So like at one of the supply houses, they put me on the list, and I can't order like 5 of these for the 5 jobs I need them for. I just am going on a list, and as they get one in every couple of months, it goes to whoever was on the list, and you get that one. And after that, the next person's name on the list gets the next one. So we're facing this weird situation right now where we've got tons of large custom homes, like 6,000 to 10,000 square feet homes. Most of them have 320 amp services or 400 amp services. I'm doing one that's got a 600 amp service. Well, no, wait, that's a commercial building. No, actually I have a commercial building that's going to need a CT meter. So it's not like a normal meter that you just run service entrance conductors in and then you run them out and stab it with a meter like a normal 200 amp would. This is like a CT service. So we have this huge box with these big donuts in them, and you run all the conductors through that. And then there's a CT meter that's all just low voltage that's connected to those donuts. It's a little bit different thing. The quotes that we're getting for time frame before we can get one of those are 51 weeks. 51 weeks. That's a year from now. We have houses that are about to start trimming out. They're ready. They got cabinets, they got painted, walls and texture and everything. And we have these quotes that they're saying, like, they don't even tell us a date most of the time. They're saying, well, we're kind of here in like 51 weeks. They won't give anybody a date. They're like, when we get some out, we get some out. But there's so many people all around the country that need meters right now that it's slowing everything down. And we're having to kind of go crazy and try to figure out what we're going to do. So I've got a bunch of houses right now that are about to start being trimmed out. So we're going to have to build services, and we don't have the meters for them. So that's been really difficult because you can't just tell a homeowner like, hey, sorry, we need to add a year to your project because we can't bring power to your project. So you're going to have to stay in the hotel for another year. It's just like weird stuff like that. So yeah, copper prices are still 3 times as much, meter cans, breakers, a lot of stuff from Square D specifically we can't find. Siemens, I've been having difficulty finding some of their sizes of arc fault breakers. Like I can't find any single pole 15 arc fault breakers anywhere in town. What else is really difficult? We kind of went through this thing a little while ago. Still kind of an issue, but aluminum. So trying to find pretty much anything that's aluminum, but specifically number 6. We went through this lull for the last month where we couldn't find 6.2 or 6.3 Romex, and then we couldn't find any SER or SE that was number 6. So weird sizes are becoming hard to find too. So a lot of places will have 2/0, but they won't have 3/0 or they won't have 1/0. And they'll have 4/0 and 2/0, like THHN or XHHW that you can buy. But there's a lot of in-between sizes that are not ordered as much, and they just don't supply them anymore. So they're only supplying what the bulk of people are buying. So, I don't know. It's kind of a pointless video, I suppose. You guys already know all of this. But what I was curious about is it the same where you're at? What kind of stuff, nationwide, are y'all lacking? Are you finding certain things are working? What are you guys doing to get around them? Can you hook a guy up? Is really what I'm getting to. Can you help me? I don't care about your situation. Give me all of your things. But no, I just want to let you guys kind of know what we're running across here in Austin and in Texas in general. Because regionally, we'll have a City Electric, right? City Electric's got 6 locations in Austin, but they have them all throughout Texas. So they can see hey, we have none of these in all of Texas. Our entire region's completely out. So it's kind of the same thing statewide. It's not just an Austin thing, but those are some of the things that we're running out of. Figured I'd share that with y'all. And then leave some comments below. Please let me know what you guys are running out of. What kind of things you're hearing, supply chain, if you have any things that you've heard through the grapevine are going on. I know that trucking, there's a limit to the amount of truckers. So it's not even just the factories. It's they can't get things on the road and get them out to places because there's not enough truckers out there. There's trucks parked everywhere. We've got shipping containers out in the sea that are not being unloaded. Or that was the case for a long time. I don't know if that's still the case. Again, I don't sit and watch CNN and all that shit, so I don't keep up with all that. But I did hear the CEO of, I think it was the CEO. Yeah, CEO of Pilot. So those gas stations that you see, big trucking gas stations. Well, they carry a lot of the diesel, and I think it's called DEF or something like that. It's a fluid. Anyways, in the diesel world, they're being regulated now by the powers that be to only be able to carry a certain amount of fuel and to be able to ship a certain amount of fuel. So there's a lot of things that are happening, weird things that are causing a lot of people to not be able to do their job, not be able to produce, not be able to move product. And so there's a lot of other factors. Plus gas prices are astronomical. So as always, there's just a lot of things that are happening. So I'm just kind of curious to see what y'all are hearing, what you're coming across. Let a brother know. Leave some comments below. Love you crazy people. I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed. I'll see you later.